Vanderbilt University is one step closer to a major transformation of its campus. The Metro Planning Commission is voting on a massive rezoning request for what's being called the Innovation Neighborhood. That meeting starts in about an hour. Our Hunter Hoagland is here in studio to talk about how this project could change the face of West End.
Hey, Tracy. Yeah, the university is asking for a zoning change in the area around 30th Avenue South and West End, stretching all the way out towards Natchez Trace. Now, you can see that exact location on a map we're about to show you. It's on the west side of campus. Planning staff is already recommending approval of this if it is to move forward. It would lay the groundwork for a long-term development with new research and office space, mixed housing, plus those shops and restaurants. And it also includes improvements for pedestrians and those bicyclists. So Vanderbilt has actually scaled back the original vision based on feedback from the community. Here's the map that we were just talking about. People in that area, they have lived there for years, and they were at this community meeting last month where they pushed for these plans to really keep that neighborhood feel that everyone has grown to love. Also in that plan, it caps on building heights, so anything within 100 feet of that property line along 31st Avenue can only be 10 stories high. As far as the rest of that space goes, there will be a park with trails and some more trees. The safety improvements will include more protected bikeways, new crosswalks, and signal upgrades. Neighbors will have another chance to weigh in before commissioners take that final vote. If it is approved, that project moves forward into the formal planning phases. Alexandria.
All right.